In 1964, an American woman was working as a nurse in Togo when she noticed something unusual. Nursing mothers would come to the market with their babies, but despite the noise and the heat, they were not crying. Anybody who has spent time with babies knows that that's very, very unusual. So being a nurse, and more started asking questions. She discovered that the reason why the babies didn't cry much was because these African mothers tied them to their back. And because the mothers' bodies were in constant touch with the babies, they always stayed calm. When she eventually moved back to the US and gave birth, she tried carrying her baby with a piece of cloth just like she saw these African women do. But there was one problem. Babies are very fragile things, and if you tie them the wrong way, that could be the end. So after she tried to tie the baby to her back and it didn't work, she decided to stitch it instead of tying it. After several trial and errors, she was able to sew together something she was using to carry her baby. When her friends saw it, they wanted it too, so she sewed for them. But then more and more people started asking her to sew for them, and that was how Snuggly was born. Today, not only is that woman rich because of that decision, the baby carrier market is worth over $21 billion. She simply took what has been in existence for decades, standardized it, and commercialized it. And that is the difference between a practice and a product. You can be practicing something for decades, but if you don't standardize and commercialize it, you can't capture the full value of it. And that's one thing we've struggled to do in this part of the world. Take shea butter for instance. For centuries, we've been making and using it in several places across West Africa. But guess what? The same thing we've had all these years and couldn't do much with has now been standardized and branded, and is now generating millions of dollars for global cosmetic brands, while Africa is still struggling to capture its value. If not for a recent lawsuit, we may never have known that several global luxury brands buy their leather from Kano. Nigerian leather is one of the best in the world. But do you know any truly global Nigerian leatherwork brand? Okay, let's leave Nigeria. Do you know any African one? It's the same thing with cocoa. About 75% of the cocoa used in making chocolate around the world come from Africa. But do you know any African chocolate brand? It's the same thing with Adire. As iconic as that fabric is, for years we were making them in bits and pieces. But now several countries around the world have industrialized their production, and they are capturing the value in millions of dollars every year. Meanwhile, so many Adire makers in Abeokuta are struggling. I could spend the next 2 hours telling you about lithium, diamond, and several other valuable resources that Africa has, but is struggling to capture their true value. So why are we not building around what we have? The truth of the matter is that building requires capital, discipline, and long-term thinking. Africa needs to stop exporting raw value and start thinking in terms of value chain, because at the end of the day, the world doesn't care about the origin of anything. They care about ownership. And ownership is something you take responsibility for and build. It's not something you wake up one day and start claiming.